Hello everyone. Today we are discussing the topic of how the Russian-Ukrainian war affects natural resources and economic sustainability. The Russian-Ukrainian war escalated dramatically on 2022 February 24th, when Russia launched all-out military offensive against Ukraine. Thus began the Russian-Ukrainian War, which continues to this day. During this period, both Russia and Ukraine have been hit hard on all fronts. In particular, they have been hit hard in terms of their economics and natural resources. The Russian-Ukrainian war has a serious negative impact on both countries. In terms of economy, natural resources, agriculture, and animal husbandry, it can be seen that the Russian-Ukrainian war has a profound impact on the sustainable development of both countries. At the same time, the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war has also spread to other countries, and even the global economy has been affected by the war. Russia is a major global exporter of energy, especially natural gas. The Russian-Ukrainian war has led to volatility in energy market with implications for global energy supplies and prices. Because of the position of Ukraine and Russia in the global economy, war has a significant impact on the global economy. This includes instability in financial markets, disruption of trade, and uncertainty for investors and businesses. Okay, there are a total of 4 panelists for this discussion. I have also prepared 4 questions. The first question is, what impact do you think the Russian-Ukraine war has on the exploitation of natural resources? Tang Nianyao, how do you think the Russian-Ukrainian war has affected the exploitation of natural resources?
Well, from my point of view, the Russia-Ukrainian war may have various negative impacts on natural resource exploitation. Now I'm going to present my answer from 3 perspectives. The first point is the war between Russia and the Ukraine may lead to an unstable investment environment, making natural resource exploitation projects affect investment difficulties and risks, and the economy suffers. I found a reference at a website called Al Jazeera. Author is Mohammed Al-Wild, and the name of the article is The Impact of the War on the Russian Economy, which said international credit rating and agencies Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's have all downgraded Russia's credit rating to C, indicating a high level of risks. And these sanctions have led to many foreign companies increasing cooperation in Russia and imposing restriction on fuel imports. On the second day after the outbreak of war, the exchange rate for the Russian currency fell to 87 rubles per US dollars, and the exchange rate continued to decline, reaching 120 rubles per US dollar on March 11, 2023. From here, we can see that the war caused the Russian food to be restricted, which caused the Russian economy to decline greatly. And the next point is conflict can lead to damage to infrastructure for mining and energy production, limiting resource extraction. I found a reference at a website called UNESCO, and the author called Chen Qingling wrote an article named The First Anniversary of the War in Ukraine, The Tragic Environment Cost. It says we know that Ukraine's infrastructure, food depots. Major chemical plants have been damaged in the war. Where are sewage problems? Infrastructure in particular has been severely damaged, Ingwood said. By December 2022, UNEP, together with other partners, had registered 5,802 industrial and critical infrastructure that had been tragedied by Russian forces during the war, with 1,121 incidents reported, two-thirds of which result in declared material damage. From this, we know that in the war, many infrastructure became the tragedy of the enemy, so that many infrastructure was damaged. And the third point is the war between Russia and Ukraine may cause environmental damage and safety problems, which will have a negative impact on the stability of the environment and the work safety in the process of resource exploitation. And the reference is same as the point 2. Within the risk as well as the entire oil and gas sector have been severely damaged. The fire caused by the attack released and a lot of heat and the pollutants, including polycyclic, aromatic, and black carbon aerosols, causing several air pollutions. That's my answer.
Thank you for your answer. According to you, you believe that the Russian-Ukrainian war will have a negative impact on the exploitation of natural resources. Firstly, on the investment climate, which is destabilized as a result of the war. Secondly, the war's damage to the infrastructure leads to the restriction of resource extraction. Lastly, the war has caused great damage to the environment and has led to a lack of security in the exploitation of resources. All right, the second question is, how do you think the conflict caused by the Russian-Ukraine war has affected sustainable development? Lin Yujie, can you answer this question?
Impact on the international energy market, triggering the world energy crisis. Energy prices have risen sharply since the third quarter of 2021, under the combined influence of multiple factors, such as insufficient supply and expanding demand. The world energy market has been in a tight balance and energy prices have continued to rise. After the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia's oil and gas export expectations dropped sharply, and the market's concerns about the tight oil and gas supplies intensified, leading to a sharp rise in global energy prices. In the second half of 2021, the epidemic situation improved. The economy began to recover. Energy demanded increased and prices climbed. After the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, energy supply was severely squeezed, further accelerating the rise in energy prices. Prices may remain high for several years. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has had a lasting impact on the world's energy supply and energy demand, and the high and volatile energy prices will not end in the short term. From the supply side, global supply capacity will be a will be tight and supply costs will remain high for a long time. On the one hand, energy embargoes, financial sanctions, and the withdrawal of multinational energy companies will demand Russia's oil and gas production and export capabilities. In addition, due to insufficient global oil and gas inventories and limited idle production capacity, the global oil and gas gap will be difficult to fill in the short term. On the other hand, restructuring energy supply chains is costly. For example, Iran uses liquefied natural gas from the United States, Qatar, and other countries to replace Russia pipeline natural gas, which requires a lot of money and time to build supporting facilities, and also has to bear high liquefaction, shipping, and regasification costs, which will further push up natural gas prices. From the demand side, rising prices and insufficient supply will force many countries, especially EU countries, to reduce energy consumption. Taking into account the tight energy supply and the rebound in energy demand after the epidemic, it is expected the international energy supply and demand will maintain a tight balance, and it is unlikely that oil, gas, and prices will fall significantly. Impact the energy settlement system and change the world financial order. The energy settlement system has undergone major changes. After the conflict broke out, the United States and Europe removed 7 important Russian banks from the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Russia's energy trade settlement faced huge risks, and the ruble's exchange rate plummeted against the US dollar. The purpose of diversification of the international financial system has further accelerated this conflict, became a catalyst for changing the international financial order, and promoted profound changes in the international monetary system and global financial landscape. Since Second World War, the world financial system has gone through the gold dollar and petrodollar eras. The US dollar has always been the main currency for global trade settlement and foreign exchange reserves of central banks. In recent years, the domestic monetary policy of the United States has had a strong negative spillover effect on a global scale, causing a huge impact on the financial stability of many countries, especially developing countries and emerging economies. In addition, the United States has implemented sanctions on Venezuela, Iran, and other countries. Financial sanctions such as freezing US dollar assessments have triggered international concerns about the security of the US dollar, and some countries have begun to reduce their holdings of US dollar assets in large quantities. During this conflict, Western countries froze hundreds of billions of dollars of Russia's foreign exchange reserves, which shook the credit of US dollar and promoted many countries to use other currencies as a hedge in international trade and foreign exchange reserves, accelerating the diversification of global currency. 21 21st century European war led by nuclear powers is driving a realignment of the world. It has unsettled NATO, the European Union, and the United Nations, forcing countries to take sides, leading to heightened tensions and diplomatic shifts. Turkey, for example, despite being a member of NATO, has increased trade with Russia since the war began and opposites, allowing Sweden and Finland to join the alliance. These 3 points of view can point out that the Russia-Ukraine war has affected the sustainable development of the world. That's all of my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
All right. From your answer, I can know that the Russia-Ukraine war has a significant impact on the international energy market and the energy settlement system. Energy is also an integral part of sustainable development. And when the energy market suffers from a crisis, then it will affect sustainable development. The third question is, do you think there will be conflicts in the future over the exploitation of natural resources? Chu Xinyi, what are your thoughts on this issue?
My main opinion is, under the Ukraine-Russian war background, conflicts may arise in the future due to resource extraction. I categorize my point to 3 points. The first point is competition for energy resource. The region of Russia and Ukraine possess abundant natural resource, particular energy resources such as natural gas and oil. In the context of the war, parties involved may strive to threat their critical resource. The second one is geopolitical factors. Resource extraction is often influenced by geopolitical factors. In the context of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, various countries may leverage resource contraction to support or undermine. I'm sorry. Various countries may leverage resource extraction to support or undermine specific political force. This could lead to competition between different countries or factions. The third one is environmental resource and climate change. Climate change's growing impact on global resource could turn specific region into hotspots, with water security sparking competition over source. In this situation, resource exactly may fuel regional conflict, particularly among annuling turmoil. Okay, that's my answer. That's my explanation of my answer.
Thank you for sharing. From your point of view, I understand that in the future, there will be conflict over the exploitation of resources. First of all, competition for energy resources, which are indispensable to the development of a country. So it is likely that the seizure of energy resources by all parts will exacerbate the escalation of tensions for this reason. There are also geopolitical factors that impact the exploitation of resources, leading to new conflicts as a result of competition between different countries or factions. Climate change is also affecting resources, which may make some of them subject to competition and thus exacerbate tensions. The final question is, what are the effects of the Russian-Ukrainian war on other countries? Yuan Haoyang, what's your opinion on this issue?
On the website of the International Committee, published on December 28, 2023, in the article The Effects of the Russo-Ukrainian War on the World, I learned about the effects of the food problem caused by Russo-Ukrainian War on other countries. This is not an isolated crisis. The ripple effects of the war can be felt across the globe. Blocks of Ukrainian grain exports have worsened hunger in some of the world's most vulnerable regions. And as Russia recently withdrew from the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which had allowed some shipments to resume, global food security is in even greater danger. In East Africa, for instance, a perfect storm of continued drought, the blockades and economic flaws from the war is causing mass starvation. Without urgent international funding, the lives of many people are at stake. Ukraine is historically larger exporters of grain. In 2021, Ukrainian grain fed 400 million people around the world. For the first 5 months of the war, Ukraine was unable to export its grain through its premier shipping routes through the Black Sea. Several grain-receiving countries across the Middle East and Africa were already experiencing hunger crises due to conflict and climate change. The war in Ukraine made this hunger crisis worse. East Africa is experiencing one of its worst droughts and is unable to provide food resources because of the war in Ukraine. Across the region, 22 million people don't have access to enough food and 1.5 million children face malnutrition. I saw this article on the IMF blog, How War in Ukraine is reverberating across world regions about the impact and problems of the outbreak war on the impact of energy and natural resources by other countries. In Europe, many countries import natural gas from Russia and Ukraine, but with the outbreak of the war, the energy problem is becoming more and more serious, and it's even impossible to import it. Another impact of the Russo-Ukrainian War, the global energy market in 2022 has experienced the most serious, extensive, and far-reaching global energy crisis since the two oil crises of the 20th century, and its most prominent the price of oil, natural gas, and coal. The three major global energy trade commodities have risen or staged of historical highs, among which the price of oil has crossed the level of 100 per barrel for the third time in history, and set the highest annual average price after 2014. Natural gas and coal prices are at record highs. The Russo-Ukrainian War caused social unrest and even annihilation in some small countries. While some effects may not fully come into focus for many years, there are already clear signs that the war and the resulting jump in cost of essential commodities will make it harder for policymakers in some countries to strike the delicate balance between containing inflation and supporting the economic recovery from the pandemic. The conflict comes when most countries don't have so much policy space to counter the effects of the shock. This is likely to increase the socio-economic pressures. Raising price may raise social tensions in some countries, because many small countries import most of their food and energy. But the outbreak of the Russian-Ukrainian war made it impossible for them to import enough energy. It led to panic and social unrest. These governments don't have enough money to import expensive resources from other countries and don't have the means to cope the people. because it's difficult for the state to provide even the most basic food to its people. Okay.
Thank you for your point of view, from which we can learn that the food supply crisis caused by the outbreak of Russian-Ukrainian war, it has affected a number of countries. Ukraine, as a major food exporting country, was unable to export food because of the war, which in turn affected some countries. Russia is an important source of natural gas imports to Europe. The war will affect the supply chain, has some impact on Europe, may increase inflation. For some countries, the instability caused by the Russian-Ukrainian war will also affect their development. Thank you all for your precision on each of these questions. In the case of Russian-Ukrainian war, the war was horribly brutal in terms of humanitarian thinking. During the period, how many people lost their lives, their loved ones, their families? On an economic level, the turbulent situation affected not only the two countries at war, but also spread to other countries. In many ways, we can learn that the occurrence of a war can be a huge blow to all aspects. Even some of losses are incalculable. Cooperation may not necessarily bring out a double-win situation, but it can certainly lead to peace. A peaceful situation can lead to peaceful development. It is hoped that the war between Russia and Ukraine can end as soon as possible, pursuing the path of peaceful coexistence. That's all. Thank you.